name is Natalie. I'm making a video clip today to celebrate 10 years that I've spent in Andalucía, Spain. I moved here to study flamenco by taking classes, flamenco dance, but also by learning from the culture and observing it and living here, which has affected my understanding of flamenco tremendously. Trying to summarize a decade of my journey isn't easy, so on social media I asked if anyone had any questions about my 10 years here, and I got some really great questions. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your great questions. So here we go. Question 1. When did your love of flamenco begin? I feel like that's the question I get asked most. To explain that, I'll just give a little bit of background information. I'd have to say that as a teenager, it was a very creative time for me. I was always trying to find a creative outlet. I liked drawing and painting and poetry. Writing was my first love. I started writing poetry at the age of 8, and I loved writing in general. And in my bedroom I would often sing and dance a lot as well. So I was always just looking for this outlet. And then it was the day before my 19th birthday. I was in a Spanish tapas bar in London, and I was hanging out with a friend, and at some point I went down to the downstairs area to go to the bathroom, and I didn't realize that downstairs there was this flamenco show going on, and I knew it was flamenco. I don't know how, because it was the first time I had ever seen it, and I just kind of froze. And it was one of those like lightning bolt change your life moments, life-changing moments. I started crying, and I just felt like I could hear myself thinking, this is what I've been looking for, this is what I've been trying to say all of these years, all this time. So pretty much straight after that I looked for flamenco classes, and I started taking flamenco classes in London. So to specifically answer that question, my love of flamenco started as soon as I saw it. And also, did you fight the calling to do flamenco and move to Spain, and what helped your transition? In terms of did I fight the calling, yeah, of course I fought it. I was 19 when I started, and although you can still learn a lot from 19 onwards, and at any time in your life you can start doing what you love, I hadn't had any dance background training. I had no idea, and I do think flamenco is one of the hardest dances in the world. And like, I think in the beginning what happens to a lot of people, and was my case too, the first couple of years you're so excited by everything that you just are immersed, and then after that you start to realize like, wow, I still haven't gotten the hold of so many basic things, and it makes you doubt yourself a lot. But most of the time I didn't fight it too much. It was more painful to think of the idea of quitting than continuing ahead, because I just love it in my life so much. It's given me so much, and which doesn't mean it's easy. It hasn't been an easy path. I might have to do a whole other video about the difficulties, but much happier with it in my life than without. Let's see, question 2. When you moved to Spain, did you plan to stay that long? Did you plan your move carefully, or was it an impulse move? Actually, well, the first years of my flamenco training were in London. I was taking classes there for 5 years, and during those 5 years I knew that I wanted to move to Spain. So it was kind of like brewing, and I was desiring the move to Spain for all that time. And then finally one day, it was like, I think it was a Tuesday in April 2011, I woke up in the morning, and I heard this kind of like voice in my head. Cuckoo, here comes people thinking I'm crazy. I heard this kind of voice in my head say, by summer you're going to be living in Spain by July. And I was like, what? It was like yeah, by summer you're going to be living in Seville. And I kind of asked this mysterious voice, you know, tell me more, what is this about? And then I heard nothing else. And that day I went into work and I said, I'm going to leave. I'm moving to Spain in a couple of months. It's just, I don't know, there was just this feeling like it was finally time. And when I moved to Seville, I only had enough money for 1 month. And in that time I did like a training course to look for work. And I remember I kind of like spoke to the skies in Seville and I said, look, whatever happens, when I ran out of money, if I don't have a job by then, I'm staying here. So I will sleep on a park bench. I'm not coming back. Well, I'm not going back to England. I want to be here. I want to study flamenco, and this is my path. I kind of like exclaimed it to the skies, and then like shortly after that I got offered a job, and then I could kind of make my life a bit more organized and structured. So yeah, I did plan to stay, but I didn't have a lot of money initially to make that possibility. It was kind of a leap of faith. Question 3. Have you ever regretted this adventure you embarked on 10 years ago? I think the person who asked me knows very well, but of course I don't regret it. It's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. I have never felt like I would like to leave Spain. I'm happy here, honestly. It's the happiest time of my life. Question 4. How can a Polish woman brought up in London feel this passion for flamenco? If you don't know a lot of people in Spain who do flamenco, then it sounds weird, but when you're in the flamenco world, trust me, I'm just one of many. There are a lot of foreigners who, like me, took a leap of faith and moved to Spain to study flamenco. I'd say that if you go to flamenco class, then maybe not so much in Granada, but in Seville, from what I can remember, I would say 75% of the class were foreigners, so it's quite normal. And also I think that on another level, flamenco is the expression of humanity. It's about day-to-day life and daily struggles that every human in the world feels and can identify with. So I think that a lot of people, most people have pent up things that they need to express, and in that way flamenco is very therapeutic because you have space to release normal human frustrations. So I think that's also another reason why I and a lot of people who weren't born in Andalucía can relate to flamenco and love it so much. Question 5. What makes your soul sing about Andalucía, in particular Granada? What drew you there and what made you stay? Oh, Andalucía. I love it so much. I think I really feel the people and I feel myself here. I mean, I was born in London and my whole family is from Poland, and I love both of those cultures too. There's lots of things that I like about both of them, but I honestly can't say that I felt myself, 100% myself in those cultures. And it was just lucky to discover how happy I am here, because I initially came here just to study flamenco, so I didn't know how I would feel here on a cultural level, but I love how people are so, they're honest, they're clear, they kind of say things how they are, and they're not surprised when you express yourself. They'll never say, oh, that's a bit weird. They're just how I would describe good people. Just not to say that the rest of the world is bad, but they just have really big hearts, and it makes me love Andalucía a lot. And specifically Granada. We moved to Granada from Seville because we wanted to live closer to nature. So we were just very happy that here we have a national park, and down the road we have the countryside where I always go for a walk. Whereas in Seville you kind of had to drive at least an hour to be surrounded by nature. So we're just happy with nature on our doorstep here. And what made me stay? Well, I've never wanted to leave. Question 6. Did you ever doubt yourself on your journey? And if so, how do you move through it? Everybody doubts themselves all the time. It's normal. I think doubting yourself comes from comparing yourself to others, and it's very difficult not to compare yourself to others when you have to constantly be studying and watching videos and learning from others to learn, you know, to evolve. You have to kind of have references. And so, you know, we often watch a lot of other dancers, specifically if you're learning the dance, and you're like, oh, I could never do that, and stuff like that. And how do I move through it? Well, there are still times where I feel a lot of doubt, and it's painful, but I honestly think that even the people at the top have those days, however much they've achieved. And how do I move through it? Well, I think I've only started to really get a handle on it not long ago, when I just really realized, just the same as we are all different people and everyone is unique, that will come across in your dance. So at some point when you feel comfortable in your dancing and in your technique, however simple or complicated it is, your personality will start to come through, and no one will be able to replicate your personality. And so that's how I move through the doubt. Instead of comparing ourselves to others, which makes us doubt ourselves, I think we should just enjoy how others do things differently, and just think, oh, that's really cool. I couldn't do it like that because I'm not that person. I don't have that inside, but I've got this to bring to the table, and celebrate that. And that's a really nice realization. Okay, question 7. How is the flamenco scene different in Granada from Seville? That's a good question. I would definitely say that each city in Andalucía plus Madrid have a different kind of feeling in how flamenco is danced, for example. If I had to choose 3 words to describe the flamenco dancing in Seville, I would say elegance, beauty, and body. Focus on body. And if I had to describe the dancing in Granada, I would say it's more wild. The footwork's very fast a lot of the time, and the people here dance with a lot of guts. Another way that I found flamenco to be different between Granada and Seville is that even if you don't go to a flamenco show in Seville, you can kind of find flamenco atmosphere in like more frequently. So I would say in almost every bar in Seville there's a guitar up on the wall, and at some point at the weekend someone always grabs the guitar, starts playing, and there's like fiesta, and you know, just like the locals just get up and dance. And I thought that was an Andalus thing, and then I moved to Granada and that doesn't happen. I was like, well, where's the guitar on the wall, and why isn't everyone dancing all the time? So I realized that's very Sevillano. Here, if you want to go find the flamenco atmosphere, you have to go more specifically to Sacromonte and the Albaicin. Question 8. Someone's asked me, say something about astrology, because every time they'd speak to me, I'd be talking about astrology. It's true, I do love astrology. What comes to mind related to astrology and my 10 years of flamenco in Spain? Well, I'd have to come back to Granada and Seville, because I always see Seville as the sun and Granada as the moon. I see Seville as more of a masculine, like the energy in the city feels more masculine to me. People are kind of more in your face, they're very funny and cheerful. And in Granada, I find Granada to be quite a mysterious, feminine, very beautiful city. So I describe them as the sun and the moon. The earth needs both, so don't ask me which one I like better. I love them both. I think they're doing a sound check in the park, because the flamenco singer Estrella Morente is singing in my park today. I'm so excited. I'm going to go to her concert tonight. So if you can hear a bit of music in the background, they're probably setting up there. Question 9. How do you feel with regards to your identity, and how has it changed over the years? As in, how has the British-Polish merged with Spanish, and what cultural impact has this had on how you see your life? That is a huge question. I feel like I could do a 1-hour video talking about that. It's a packed question. You know, I think that when you have been brought up in two cultures or lived in another country, you do have a wider perspective of a lot of things. And to be honest, I don't know how it's impacted me that much. I often forget that most people don't have like three cultures in them. But I think that life is a journey for everyone, and so whether you've been brought up in 1, 3 or 10 cultures, or just one culture and never left your village, if you have life experience, which we all do, you always have something to talk about with someone. But in terms of how it's changed me, I think living in Spain's just made me happier, because even though I was born in England, I somehow never really felt part of it. And I kind of mentioned that earlier, and in Spain I just feel like I can be myself. And I was thinking about this question the other day, and I kind of came up with this metaphor. I feel like for me, England, the UK has been like a first love. It was intense, it was an experience that was necessary to pass through, like a transition, and I think back on it fondly and with a lot of affection. And Poland has always been like a distant cousin where I haven't spent that much time, but when I'm there I like it and we get on, but it's kind of been absent. And Spain or Andalucía for me is like my husband, my husband is Andalus. It's the person that I want to sow seeds with and grow in, and how else has it changed me? I think the more you can enjoy, I think the more cultures you can understand, the broader your perspective can be about a lot of things. And it is interesting. You get like little snapshots into how different societies work, and to be honest, it's probably enriched me in a way that I'm not even conscious of. So those are all of the questions. Thank you very much for those who have listened and asked me the questions. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.